Hi and Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Fatimah binti Muhammad Zubir, my matric number is 066411 and my menu choices is beef meat patty. Firstly, we proceed with definition of microbiological hazard, microbiological critical control point and microbiological critical limit. Microbiological hazards are a type of hazards that is considered biological hazards but are caused explicitly by microorganisms such as viruses, bacteria and parasites. These microorganisms can cause illness or infections in humans or animals through water, food or even environmental surfaces. A microbiological critical control point is a step, point or procedure determined by CCP Decision 3 at which the microbiological hazards must be prevented, eliminated, controlled food safety hazards or reduced to an acceptable level. While for the microbiological critical limit is the maximum and or minimum value to which microbiological hazards must be controlled to eliminate, prevent the occurrence or reduce the hazard to an acceptable level at the designated CCPs in food process steps. The main ingredients for the menu is beef meat, modified tapioca starch and soy protein. The list of microbes on main ingredients including from meat, which is Campylobacter, which is the most common bacteria in New Zealand since the meat we supply is from New Zealand, E. coli, the most common bacteria on meat, Enterobacter species, and including pathogenic agents called prion. From modified tapioca starch, including Bacillus cereus, Clostridium botulinum, and Staphylococcus aureus. And lastly, from soy protein includes Bacillus cereus, E. coli, and also Listeria monocytogenes. Next, we move on to the production flow process. We start with receiving boneless beef meat supplied from New Zealand. We will QC check the meat if it is according to our quality checklist. If okay, then we accept. Note that during QC check, we specifically make sure that it is from New Zealand to avoid meat that are contaminated with mad cow disease caused by prion, especially meat that is supplied from UK. Then, we proceed with weighing, cleaning the meat, storing, thawing, which is SCCP number 1, and grinding the meat. After the grinding process, we mix with other raw ingredients for formation of the patty. Then we QC check the meat, forming the patty. After that, we proceed with packaging and metal detection process. And for pre-cook the meat, we use sauce-white cooking method. After that, the patty will be freezed and stored at the warehouse. Next, we proceed with the hazard analysis for process step. First step is thawing. Potential biological hazard includes Campylobacter species, which is the most common in New Zealand, E. coli, most common at meat, and Clostridium perfringens and others. Rational inclusions as a hazard is temperature abuse causes bacterial growth on raw material due to poor applied procedure practiced by the workers, which means workers do not check the temperature of the freezer or chillers occasionally. Next is cross-contamination can occur between raw material and the equipment surfaces. The severity for this process is 2, which can cause serious illness. Likelihood is a common occurrence and it is significant. Control measure that can be made is workers can thaw the raw meat in freezer or chillers and do a regular check on the chiller and or the freezer temperature. Make sure that the temperature is always below 4 degrees Celsius. Next is to develop a written procedure to handle the raw materials and line clearance. And lastly, the workers must practice a good hygiene and GMP program to prevent cross-contamination. Last but not least is the freezing process. The bacteria included in the freezing process is the Campylobacter species, E. coli, and others. The rationale of hazard inclusion is because temperature abuse causes bacterial growth due to improper storage after pre-cook. Next is cross-contamination occurs when liquid drip from other food products. And lastly, unhygienic. Next, cross-contamination can occur when liquid drip from other food products drip to the main food products. And lastly, unhygienic handling of freezer by workers causes cross-contamination, which means freezer do not clean occasionally by the workers. The severity is 2, which is serious. Likelihood is 8, which is common to occur, and it is significant hazard. Measures that can be taken is workers must practice good hygiene and GMP program to prevent contamination. Next, workers must always make sure the temperature of the freezer always below 4 degrees Celsius. Therefore, all the processes above are all CCP. This is all the decision tree for all the CCP. CCP1 is thawing, CCP2 pre-cook method, which is the sauce-fired cooking method, CCP3 freezing after the pre-cook method. And therefore, that is all from me. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.